Live from New York is Ask This Engineer.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ask Engineer, also known as sound engineering
Yes. I
practice.
had something in the way of the
We
sound
were
there.
doing some stuff. It was cool. You'll see it soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of baby toys here. Look.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's cool. It was green. It was like
Oh yeah,
futuristic.
look.
I
Yeah.
was like,
So
oh,
yeah,
space.
we have hypercubes for our kid. Okay.
All right. Welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada, the engineer, with me, Mr. Lady Ada, on camera control and rocking out the mics. We've got exciting show for you tonight. Lots of goodies, lots of new products, lots of coming soons, and lots of top secrets, projects, videos, and more. It's the longest running electronics show on the internet, and we're also live.
Yes, that's
If you're
right.
curious.
Okay.
So don't test us though. We're live.
Yeah, I have today's newspaper.
You want to do that?
Does,
Okay.
even, does anyone even have newspapers? No,
Oh,
probably not.
good point. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you could. What would you pick up?
How could you prove today's date is real?
Yeah.
That you're real? I don't know. Maybe you could turn on a live event on like a television thing, but then
Oh yeah, I
the
sometimes I do
copyright
that.
stuff stops YouTube, so you can't. So everything is a hologram.
All right, well, let's kick it off.
It's a
What's on
simulation.
tonight's simulated
Yeah.
show?
All right. On tonight's show, the code is floppy. However, there's something different and special because we got out a product that we're really happy about, really excited about it. We've been trying to get this out forever. It's 11% off tonight. And why?
Wow.
Well, because it's one more than 10.
See, yeah, the numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11,
Oh, I see.
11,
And most of
11,
the
and then
amps go up to 10.
exactly.
That's right. 11% off all the way up to 11:59 p.m. or when I have to feed a baby. So, yeah,
Baby.
or a little bit of both. So,
Floppy, floppy, floppy.
floppy, 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 11% off. We don't do 11% code usually, so save off 1% more than usual. We're going to talk about our live series of shows. We're going to talk about show and tell, a lot of cool stuff there. We're going to do a little bit of recap from the Desk of LadyAda, including great search. We're going to show a highlight from JP's product pick of the week. And a little reminder, JP's show is also on Thursday. We'll mention that. Time travel, look around the makers, hackers, artists, engineers, things that's going on in the world of Makerville's population. You, from the mailbag, people send us nice notes. We read them to our staff and to you. Help wanted, some jobs from the Adafruit job board. We've got some advanced manufacturing made in New York City, Adafruit factory footage. We've got some cool 3D printing projects. We got Ion NPI this week. It's a product from Digilant. We got Top Secret. Lady is going to show something super cool. We've got a bunch of new products. There's a lot of stuff that we finally getting out the door after years and years and years, from chip shortages to global pandemics to you name it. We've rode the wave. We're here now. We're going to answer your questions. We do that and more over in Discord, adafruit.it/discord. That's where we answer your questions. Put them there. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. So, don't forget, floppy,
Floppy.
11% off. You'll know why, because we have the floppy feather ring. Lady, we give away free stuff in addition to all these great deals.
Yes.
What do they get?
All right. Well, we ran out of nudes. We're making more nudes as quickly as we can. But until then, we're going to be giving away the Perma Protos again. These half-size solder full breadboards are shaped just like your solderless breadboard, great for making your project permanent. In fact, our 3D Hangouts project for this week uses a Perma Proto for data and power distribution. So it's $99 or more, $149 or more, you get a KB2040. We still have these. They are pink PCBs. They have an RP2040 chip on them, 8 megabytes of flash, USB-C, STEMMA QT, all the goodies that you know and love for the RP2040 chip. That's $149 or more. $199 or more is free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. And $199 or more, yeah, sorry, $299 or more. Wait, sorry, now I'm confused. We've changed everything. So
It's crazy.
one,
It is crazy giving away
I don't want to get it
everything.
wrong. I'm also sorry.
It's $2.99. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting some sleep. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
$299 more. It's a free microbit V2. These are well-loved microcontroller boards that you can use with MakeCode, or we actually have support in CircuitPython. There's some Arduino support as well. They're great for education, and there's lots of projects for them.
Okie dokie. We have a bunch of live shows. We just did some. Show and Tell was just on, and on Show and Tell, there was a bunch of stuff. There was
No, we don't have favorites.
We don't have favorites. However,
but
however,
kind
well, we're gonna show JP's project. That was the beginning of the show, the little clip.
of.
So it's a remake of the speak and say,
Yeah.
the pull the cord thing that
Yeah.
goes in. There's Pizza Rat. So, it's a theme this week because we've been doing some toy hacking and modding. So check that out on the show and tell. But also you'll see some bringing some old computer mice back to life.
Yeah.
You'll see some festive projects.
Festive
You'll see a
trees.
rocket white
Rocket,
noise generator that
also-
has a brightness thing.
Also for a kid.
That's right. And
Not a
then,
kid, but
yeah,
still.
yeah,
Also, I want a white noise generator lamp. Like that's such a good idea.
yeah. And
I think because I had it.
that's right.
Okay.
So check out all the projects and more on Show and Tell. We hosted this week. Next week, I think Noise hosting. Thanks so much. Come by, show your retro stuff, show your keyboards, show your massive collections of cool things that inspire others to learn or reach for the stars. Let's go to our other show that we do. We do Desk with LadyAda. So we do it in 2 parts. The first part usually show what you're working on.
Yeah. Okay. So this week on Desk with LadyAda, we talked about the toy hacking. I'm taking apart this Baby Einstein Tunes take along tunes player. It's a common kids toy. Our kids aren't old enough yet to really get into it, but they will soon. And the songs it plays are like fun little chiptune treats. But wouldn't it be cool if it played, Depeche Mode or Radiohead or U2? Or some of the songs
Joy Division, The Cure, things that little children
gonna
need to
listen to,
yeah.
right? I mean, I gotta
Yeah.
get.
So we're
cool
working on
here.
that. We'll
So
talk about that
we're
later.
gonna talk about that, but so this week I showed some of the takedown, then I'll tear down, and some of the design decisions I'm going to be making, and then we have another video later.
Yeah.
With more layout.
So this is a series of videos.
So we did part 2.
I was thinking to name the names of this. So this is gonna be drumroll. Take aparts My Little Hacker. My
Okay.
Little Hacker, My Little Hacker.
Yeah.
Kind of like My Little Pony, but not My
Yeah.
Little Hacker.
Okay.
Okay. There was a bunch of names being tossed around, and that one was one of the ones that sounded fun. Okay. We also do the Great Search, brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit, where LadyAda is your power driven engineering to help you find things on digikey.com. LadyAda, what did you try to find this week?
Okay. So for me hacking these toys as part of the My Little Hacker series, I need an I2S amplifier because the chip I'm planning to use to replace the brains of this toy is going to be an ESP32S2, and it doesn't have a DAC and it doesn't have like direct speaker drive. So instead, what I'm going to do is use a I2S amplifier chip to get really good quality audio. That's another thing. I want it to like sound really good, not have like a staticky sound. So I spec'd out, I looked and showed how to find a couple different I2S amps. There's one that I tend to use, the Max 98 357, but we found another one from NXP that's actually really interesting and a really cool amplifier chip, and it has like a sequencer inside, a 5-band equalizer inside, volume control, and I2C stuff that you can do with it. And it's a little bit more powerful than Max 98 357, so check it out.
Okay. JP's product pick of the week is the only show that we know of that broadcasts live from inside of a product page where the discount is automatically applied. JP, take away this week's highlight. Go for it.
Feather RP2040 Scorpio. It's an 8-channel NeoPixel drive-in Feather. We can use the NeoPixel 8 library inside of Arduino and in CircuitPython to animate NeoPixel LEDs, up to 8 strips or rings of them. It's all using a PIO state machine. It really leaves the other processing free for you to do other stuff on the board, such as read inputs or write to displays. Feather Scorpio there, and that has the right angle headers. And then I'm using one of these IDC ribbon cables to breakouts for IDC. And this one is keyed, so you can't put it in wrong. So all the white wires there are the data lines going into all of the 8 NeoPixel strips. And then all the black wires there are connected to grounds. The power side of the NeoPixel strips broken out to snap connectors here. And then I have this running to one of our little DC breakouts. Feather RP2040 Scorpio.
Scorpio. All right. JP's workshop is on Thursday. Don't forget to check that out. And then on Friday, we have a deep dive with Tim. All right, let's do some time traveling. Time travel is when we talk about some of the things we're working on, Mailbag, some help wanted, a little bit everything from the world of Adafruit and more. So time travel this week. Please check out the Adafruit site. We have our yearly feature, Black History Month. Let me go to the browser. You can check out post each day. You can also check out the posts from previous years and more. One of the things that we would like to see, especially in the maker community, is to celebrate some of the great artists, engineers, scientists, maker hackers, and more from the African American community. There is a lot, so putting the spotlight and using our voice to get the word out. You can also check out some of the resources we have for what's going on, not only with the Adafruit team, but in various communities. Adafruit.com/Black History Month 2023 if you want the short URL. Next up, this is what we were talking about before. We're doing a little bit of toy hacking. So when our kiddo is asleep,
We steal the
we
toys.
steal the toys and
It's like reverse Santa.
and we take them apart and we make them better. So the idea is these are really good enclosures, but you could put your own sounds on it via Wi-Fi, or crack it open SD card and just pop in new sounds. Because a lot of parents say, and I'll read some of the mailbag letters later, that they get tired of the same sounds all the time. So this is the take along tunes. A lot of people know about this. It's kind of like standard issue. I saw before Baby Einstein got acquired by Disney, I think it was like 400 million a year in revenue. So they make a lot of toys. But the designs are kind of what you'd expect. It's just like, bleepy tune that just goes repeat forever. So we're coming up with neat ideas, and this will just be a drop-in replacement. We've been doing a couple broadcasts. This is the scan of the PCB. You traced it out. What are you doing this week on this project?
So I need to make some room for parts of the PCB. The PCB, they made it as small as possible, and it has to like neck around to avoid like these plastic pieces. So what I had to do is scan the enclosure so that I can get a scan of how much space I have, and like I can maybe extend the PCB a bit. I pretty much picked all the components, and then I'm going to just sort of try to place them in the PCB in safe locations, where they don't bump into stuff. Then I'll probably print out a piece of paper and we'll cut it out and we'll make sure it like fits into the plastic pieces correctly, because like I don't want to start laying out until that's done. And then if that's good, I'll actually probably do my first route of a PCB design and send out proto PCBs.
Yeah. And so just as like a little history, so for the last 20 years, every time someone who knows electronics has a kid, they're like, I am going to mod and hack the toys. Problem is, they get a little tired because they're taking care of the kiddo. So this never really gets done. So when I was at Popular Science, I was a senior editor there. It's like, let's do this, and someone was, they're like, I'm about to have a kid. I'm gonna model all these toys. Nothing. Make magazine. I was doing stuff there.
You've been just feeding the kid
2600
live, like
right for 2600.
Yeah.
Hackaday. I started Hackaday. It's like, okay, new parent who's a hacker, they're gonna do all these toy hacks. Nope. At best, there is a circuit bending thing for like a fully formed adult because they want to be in a band. But there's a lot of really good ideas, and I think we'll be able to do this. And I like the idea of you unscrew the back, you pop in the new one, and you can just drag and drop files over, Wi-Fi locally. You can do something like pop in an SD card. There's so many sensors that you can do stuff like in the chat. Here's an idea. Initial idea for a toy. Add an accelerometer, gyro via stem QT so you can sync the beat of the song for the baby shaking it. Yes.
Yeah, it's got a stem QT port because we have all these sensors. Why not plug and play?
You can get
microphone
temperature out. You can figure out what the temperature is. You can do things like it could wake up 11 o'clock each day and say, hey, you
have a real-time clock.
You're 105 days old, kiddo.
Yeah.
And then it plays a song. I personally like the idea of the Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince symbol, and then having like a baby toy that plays Prince songs when you shake it. Because that's not possible. You can make it yourself, but you're never going to buy one of these. So that's something that I'd like to see. And just like really neat tunes like The Cure and Joy Division, things that children need to grow up on and listen to. So anyways.
Also, we could change the music more often if we get tired of the songs.
You'll get tired of it.
If they have a favorite song on the radio, put it in this. And so then it's like if they want to listen to Frozen forever. I don't know if kids still do that, but you would program this to just play Frozen all the time.
I think what we're going to see is like whatever makers are doing on weekends, and now whatever makers are doing on weekends with their kids, someone will commercialize it. So why isn't there a kid Spotify player? why not? And you just toss a playlist to it, and it's like it's just what you want to listen to, or the kids want to listen to.
Yeah.
Someone sent us a really neat playlist. It was the Nine Inch Nails nursery.
Yeah, so we're gonna
songs.
put that on.
Yes, I think I'm gonna put the like Johnny Cash Nine Inch Nails.
Okay, that's a bit much.
Hurt? It's a good song.
Okay, I don't know if
It's
the
not-
baby needs to know about heroin yet.
Well, pain.
It feels early.
You know, pain's relative. Okay, so let's do the mailbag.
Letters. We get letters. We get tweets and we get emails.
All right, so we posted up, all these videos and stuff, and people had some opinions, and these were good opinions. Seeing Adafruit founder Lamora Fried hack electronic baby toys, next level momming. So cool, these projects will be such fun to watch and learn from. Can't wait to see what else gets a mod. It's true. This is from Victor. Oh my goodness, thank you. Our kids love this and the repetition is driving us mad. Gives my wife an excuse to get out soldering iron again. Please, for the love of parenting, continue the series. So this is someone who has the same exact toy, but they're tired of the repetition. They're just like, oh my gosh, I would absolutely love to do that. And then another one is, as a mom of two, I felt such admiration and willingness to share with us is incredible. So we're going to just, keep at it. I think this is something that we can turn into kind of like the trick with the Muppet Show. The Muppet Show was not made for kids. It was made for adults to hang out with their kids. Maybe some of these things will be time you spend with the kiddos
That's right.
doing things like,
And then
what
I
scene
think
do you like?
another thing is neat is like, if it's a $6.99 toy, it's kind of disposable, but if it's customized,
It's an heirloom.
now it's an heirloom. Now it's something you can decorate. It's like it's a treasured thing. Maybe it would have a message from a parent on it, or it would,
Yeah.
you could give it to someone with their favorite songs or messages for their
Oh, like a
kids.
grandparent can leave a message. That's
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of the mashing up of, so Sesame Street from the Pointer Sister has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Putting that on a little Kiki piano.
Yeah.
Just like combining all this stuff. It's like it's very possible now. So anyways,
Okay.
that's
More hacking. So
and thanks for the letters. We really appreciate it because we're kind of out here on a limb. And sometimes social media is really mean and it's wrong, and people have nothing nice to say, but we do appreciate it when folks say nice things because sometimes it's nice to see and hear those things. Help wanted. This one is all Adafruit this week. So I know you're hearing about all the layoffs in the tech sector, but we're privately
Right.
held. No loans, no venture capital. We're not answering to a bunch of activist shareholders. So we have two jobs. We have a junior bookkeeper if you like QuickBooks and things like that, and then an employee resource assistant. We have a ton of benefits we pile on to our team, so we need help administrating those and more. We're profitable. We have, like I said, no loans of venture capital. We're nice open source electronic company in New York City. If you're interested, go to jobs.adafruit.com and apply. The only thing is you will have to be in person at some point. Of course, we understand the world is hybrid, but we want you to be in person just a little bit, especially when you get started, so you can feel the vibes at Adafruit. But we do everything safe here. We're still doing masks if you're concerned about things like that, and we will continue to do so. So please check it out. Okay, it's Python and hardware time.
blinka blinka.
Okay, LadyAda, we have
Yes.
some kind of biggish news, I'd say, biggish news, in the newsletter this week. So, in addition to all of the stories that are in here every single week, and works round the clock, putting
Unstoppable.
things in. If it's Python on hardware, it's in the newsletter.
He's not a cop.
Go to adafruitdaily.com and sign up. We don't spam. We don't do anything like that. We don't harvest.
I get some great inspiration from reading
Yeah.
the newsletter.
So scripting languages are here for microcontrollers. You can look at whatever we're doing with CircuitPython, but this also covers MicroPython and all flavors of Python. And we also just we kind of cover everything. It's like, oh, if it's a scripting language, like let's put it in here. Oh, cool, Rust is doing stuff.
Yeah, like I put in other, I put in other interpreted or like kind of
Yeah.
cutting edge, or not cutting edge. Some of them are like Fortran, but and less popular than C, C++.
Yeah. And-
languages.
And here's the other thing, like this is what confuses, I think, folks. So we put in competitors things all the time because we don't think of it that way. So you'll see a lot of things from companies that compete against us. And I understand they can't like link to us and do the same types of things, but we can, so we do. So anyways, check it out. Speaking of the Awesome Feather update, on Awesome Feather is live now. So this is hundreds of feathers and feather wings that we don't sell.
Nope, not
That
from
we don't
us.
sell.
Nope.
So
Others.
I understand we move in different ways and people can't figure us out, but we really think if we can get the information out, people will make choices, and some of the choices they'll make will be to get some stuff from Adafruit, but it's okay if you get it from somewhere else too. It's okay. So the big news this week for us is twofold. First one is CircuitPython 8 is now in a release candidate stage. What are the new things in CircuitPython 8? LadyAda from 7.3.0 to 8.0.
Okay, well,
people should consider.
so to be fair, 8.0 has been a long time coming, but the big updates is, as you can tell by the snaky expressive slash Blinka logo, is we've had a lot more support for ESP32 boards, the C3, the ESP32, the S3. We also added support for the Pico W while we're at it. So there's a lot of wireless in this. I mean, we're featuring expressive. We love expressive stuff. We have Wi-Fi workflow, so you can write code and debug and upload files over Wi-Fi. So you can like have remote embedded hardware, say inside of a child's toy that doesn't have a USB port accessible. You can still get into it and you can debug it. So that's like the big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then I'd say the other big news is exciting for me because I used to help run Make Magazine, is the Make board guide is out. And we've upped our game here at Adafruit Nursery. We're doing our broadcasts from home at night. So what I have is I have a subscription to Make Magazine, but I read it on a device. So this is the Make board guide, and I pumped it through HDMI and I have it going in here. So this is the cover of the magazine, and check it out. Look, there's so this is me, I'm touching them. This is one of our boards on the cover. And if you look at the boards that are available, you'll notice, let me see if I can go straight to the there's board guide. There's a lot of Adafruit boards. One, we had a lot of zigging and zagging, so we switched processors. LadyAda did a lot of revisions, and we had things that are available. So if you go through the board guide, a couple interesting things about it. One, if you scan it with your phone, it has a AR thing with DigiKey. But also check out how many support Python, MicroPython scripting languages. Check out how powerful the processors are now. And if you go online, you can see the previous board guides that Make has done. And that's kind of neat. That's a Adafruit. What's cool is you can see, like, there's not, I don't know if it's Moore's law. I don't know if I would call it the same thing, but microcontrollers are getting so powerful. You can do so much. Now it's about, well, what do you want it to do and how easy is it? Because if you can do anything, then it starts to become easy to use. So here's, I have this for LadyAda.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's your boards.
That's my board, yeah.
So this is the boards this year. And they have a neat segment
No,
on which boards you can get, alternatives if something's not available. And
alphabetical. Okay.
yeah, and then interviews with people like you, and quotes, and you can go through the entire magazine. This is a really good one.
Yeah.
And with Make, they really tried to talk about, I'm gonna go through here. With Make, they really tried to talk about what's been the hardest thing for makers out there. So you'll see some of the quotes and interviews from folks. You can see some more Adafruit stuff going on here. But this is, of course, one of my favorite issues of the year from Make, because it has, so this is, for a good example, the replacements. So if you're looking for this, get that. If you can't get this, here's something. Couldn't get a microbit, get an Adafruit Clue. So it's kind of neat how they said, well, this isn't available now, but here's an alternative that you can do. So anyways,
that's cool.
That is the latest and greatest, and I think I'm going to try to do more neat stuff with more devices, because I have a little bit more ability to plug in different things, because at the factory, we would kind of like be working, and it's hard to set up a show all day when you're working. But when you do the show from home, you can leave stuff there at night and wake up in the morning, it's still there, because you don't have to move it around for a bunch of people to make sure they can get to the machines and stuff like that. So Adafruit Daily delivers every week.
Thanks, Blinka.
Adafruit pythondaily.com. And that is our Python on hardware this week. Okay, Lady, we're an open source hardware company. We have 2,804 guides. Can you believe it? It's a lot. What is on the big board this week?
Okay, we've got a bunch of guides. So kicking off with Eva wrote a guide on using no-code battery monitoring with Whippersnapper. Whippersnapper supports the LC709 and Max 17048. It's the two battery monitors, which we kind of use and suggest. They're very common because they don't have a sense resistor. Check out the guide because a lot of people's projects have batteries in them and you want to monitor the battery and know when you have to replace it or if the battery got disconnected or damaged. The Whippersnapper is a no-code way to make your battery monitoring happen, especially if you're using one of our feather boards that has the battery monitor built in, the ESP32, S2, and S3 boards. The feathers have built-in battery monitoring.
We have two videos that we're going to show tonight. So in the 3D printing section, the light up tree, and then we're going to play the speak and say video that goes along with this one. But this is the project we were talking about.
Yep.
And, with this beautiful illustration.
Lovely art by Brian Kissinger. Or Kissinger.
That's like a Ren and Stimpy type.
It's really cool. Yeah.
So we'll show that video so you can skip that one, LadyAda.
Yep. And then the 3D print. And then we have an updated guide for the 1.27, 1.5 inch OLEDs. These have added iSpy connectors. Kattni has been going through all the guides and adding quick starts for iSpy usage.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay.
The rest are just updated guides.
All right. So let's play this video. And here's some factory footage. Is our main New York City factory footage for this week. Let's get to some 3D printing. We're gonna play a couple videos back to back. The first one's gonna be the holiday LED tree. That could be just about anything. And then this really neat holder that I sent over to Non Pedro, and they did a really good job doing a speed up print up. So take it away, Non Pedro.
You can 3D print a holiday-inspired tree with NeoPixel LEDs in Adafruit's Feather RP2040 Scorpio. This project uses 8 NeoPixel LED strips to make a festive display that cycles through different animations. The tree structure is 3D printed and measures to a ½ meter tall with a base diameter of 30 centimeters. This feather features the RP2040 chip, 8 megabytes of flash, and 8 consecutive GPIO outputs with 5 volts level shifting for NeoPixel driving. This project keeps it simple with just 8 strips of 30 LEDs, but it can be scaled up to a larger tree thanks to the RP2040's PIO peripheral. It can control thousands of NeoPixel LEDs. This project can be powered off a 5-volt USB power supply and uses an Adafruit Perma board with cables for easily connecting the NeoPixel LED strips. If you're adding more LEDs or brighter animations, it's easy to adapt it to power the pixels separately from a beefy 5-volt power supply. An IDC cable plugs directly into the headers on the Feather Scorpio for plug-and-play style wiring. This project uses the LED animation library for CircuitPython to create animation sequences. The demo code uses the NeoPixel 8 library to make use of the fast and buttery smooth animations with the LED animation library. The effects are easily customizable and each LED strip can be set to use a different animation along with different speed and colors. To build your own, be sure to check out the step-by-step tutorial on the Adafruit Learning System. We hope this inspires you to build advanced LED art projects with CircuitPython and Adafruit's Feather RP2040 Scorpio.
All right, and before we go to INMPI, don't forget to cut to Poppy. Because we have Floppy Featherwing, and it goes up to 11% off tonight. All right, LadyAda, let's do INMPI. Okay, this week's INMPI is from Digilent. This is all brought to you by DigiKey. Adafruit does these every single week, LadyAda. What's this week's INMPI?
All right, thanks. I'm glad you asked. This week's INPI is in fact from Digilent. It's
We're doing all the triangle companies.
triangles all the time. This is also from Measurement Computing, which is the originator of this hardware. Digilent purchased them and merged with them. So if you see, like, I'll show it on the overhead, you're like, why does it say Measurement Computing instead of Digilent? They're one company now. So this week's INPI is the USB 2001 TC. I just thought this was a really great, simple device. It's a single channel thermocouple monitoring data acquisition device that plugs into USB. That's all it does, but it does it really well. So let's go, let's go to the data sheet. So this is again from Measurement Computing. It has one single thermocouple input. It has a 20-bit ADC. It can do 4 samples per second, which is totally fine. Your temperature isn't moving that quickly. You can use any kind of thermocouple, not just K-type. So if you have like N or T or whatever, which I've never really seen people use. I've only really seen J and K, but you can use any kind. It has the trace curves that convert the microvoltage to temperature. And it's got support for, Linux and Windows, and also like desktop Python. And so you could use it on a Mac with command line Python. And it just, plugs into USB. And on the end, there's, standard thermocouple mini jack. So Measurement Computing, they're a company in Massachusetts, and they do data acquisition devices. They actually sell a bunch of different things. They've got, for example, this Raspberry Pi hat, lots of different DACs, temperature monitors, etc. But this is kind of their first like miniature desktop data acquisition device. Thermocouples are often used for calibrating equipment. For example, we have a reflow oven at the office where we reflow our boards. You saw that if you tuned in earlier to the footage we have from our factory. You'll use a thermocouple to measure the temperature as a board goes through. It goes up to 250 degrees C. As you can see, a K-type thermocouple or a J thermocouple can go up to 1200 degrees C or higher. So these are, very high temperature readings for kilns, for smokers, for any kind, ovens, etc. Anything that can get very hot. Thermocouples are the way to go. They're kind of the best way to measure. Oftentimes, people would say, "Oh, you take an Arduino or something and connect, an AD, analog devices or Maxim thermocouple amplifier. You read it, etc." But this is kind of nice because it's all in one. It's ready to go. It's plug and play. It has software. It's also got isolation. They have an ADUM um, signal isolator inside of it. So you do have an isolation between earth ground and the thermocouple, which is often like on all of our boards, we don't have, you'd have to add your own isolator. So by the time you built the whole thing, it's about the same price as getting this like ready to go little deck board. To connect a thermocouple, you're going to need one of these mini plugs. They're really common. DigiKey has them in stock. They're a couple bucks. You'll get your thermocouple wire, which DigiKey also stocks. You can get them in any length, or you can make your own. And then you just open up the thermocouple connector and you screw in your cable, or you can get ready-made ones as well. And what's nice is also the plus and minus. I think the width of the minus is a little bit wider, so you can't plug it in backwards. They're called mini thermocouple connectors. So inside is, starting from the right, there's the USB controller. It's actually an 8051 Cypress chip. It's the C8051F343, connected to USB through this cable. And then there's an IO isolator, which uses the ADUM 5401. On the text that goes with this presentation, it's got the link to the DigiKey port number. And then it goes to a 20-bit ADC. That is the AD7785. It's a nice quality analog devices ADC that it's got there. I got a little bit of low pass filter, just a little capacitor and ferrite probably to keep them from having little spikes that can be picked up by the cables or the 60 hertz signal that is emanating all around us. And then the software actually is what probably converts that ADC measurement into the temperature, because you have to match it. There's a curve that goes with each thermocouple type. So that's done for you. But what's nice also is you could get raw data values out. So if you don't want to connect a thermocouple, you could probably just pull that raw value out for a measurement of bridge rectifier or something. Resistive bridge sensor. This is just a photo of the board. I just opened it up, and the USB connector is that white, looks like a JST PH in the middle there. It's got the 5 pins that goes to the USB cable, and then you see the chips inside, and then the Omega connector for the thermocouple. And then I just plugged in a thermocouple that I had sitting around. For software, there is a couple options. So I just downloaded and installed Dakami or Dakami. It's their desktop Windows software. It auto detects the board and it just grabs data, and it was pretty much ready to go in about 2 minutes. Since this company, Measurement Computing, was acquired by Digilent, and Digilent is a National Instruments company, of course, there's a lot of LabVIEW and MATLAB support. So definitely LabVIEW, if you use NI LabVIEW, you're going to have the best support. There's no, direct Linux or Mac graphical interface for that. Like I said, there's only Windows, it seems. But there is Python support. So, so this is the software for Windows. And then for if you want to use it with Linux or Mac, honestly, I would just say use the Python library that they've got below. It looks like you can just like query it and get the raw data as needed. This is the software, I just loaded it up. Like I said, it pretty much instantaneously worked. It told me a temperature. You can see I kind of heated up in my hand, and then I released it, and you can see the temperature go from 33 degrees C down to 28. Seems to work fine. You can, of course, save to files, change how often you want to do data captures. And then if you need more complicated data acquisition devices, this is, yes, this is, the one we're featuring on IMPI, but they do have fairly complicated and nice ones that have multiple channels, that have DACs, have ADCs, up to 20 bit ADCs on there, GPIOs, multiple thermocouples, etc. In fact, when we ordered this and we ordered this from DigiKey, they had 100 in stock and they sold out since. So
Whoa.
yeah, this is
Maybe someone knew that this was going to be Ion MPI.
there's a little bit of a this was a rarity. Usually when I get something, it stays in stock until we do the video. But this time it was, I swear,
The precogs
it was in
figured you
stock,
out.
and then it got sold out. But do sign up; they'll have more. And if not, check out the other data.
This isn't a supply constraint thing where there's never going to be them
No,
for
no.
like 3 years. Don't worry about that.
Make more. I think they really just sold that much faster because it's a pretty good deal for like a ready to go isolated thermocouple amplifier.
All right. And that's this week's Ion MPI.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
On MPI.
All right. Well, before we do the new product section, which has a bunch of cool stuff, don't forget code Swappy, 1% off. LadyAda, you ready to kick it?
Yeah. New.
All right. We have some revisions first.
Yep. This is like a 2-year-old revision, but I finally got it done. The 096 160 by 80 color TFT breakout. So much stuff went out of stock, was unavailable, got revised, and it was just like a bit of a chase. But we finally got all the parts to be able to revise it. So this board is very cute. It's basically our smallest TFT. It's less than a 1-inch diagonal, 160 by 80 pixels. It's IPS. So it's a beautiful display. And then stop here because I'll show what. Oh, can you go back to that?
You listen?
Yeah. So I'll just explain what changed. So the TFT actually was unavailable. We couldn't get the TFT anymore. And so we decided if we're going to redo it, we might as well update to plug-in TFT, which makes manufacturing so much easier because you don't have to solder the TFT anymore. So to do that, one, you'll see on the back, there's this little plug that goes through the back and then plugs in. The pinout and shape and size of the breakout is the same. The TFT is the same, resolution, but the initialization code is slightly different. Basically, it's inverted or it's not inverted compared to the previous one. So we do have updates that we're going to have for the code, so you can select which version of this display. If you run the display and you're like, hey, it's just inverted, like the colors are backwards, like white is black, black is white, red is green, etc. That's why. And then it should look like that. And then the other thing is the SD card we're using now, a Molex. It's a very nice micro SD card slot, but it's push pull, not push push, because there's not enough space for our standard push push, which means that you don't push in to pop the SD card out. You just pull it out. So otherwise, it's basically exactly pin compatible, almost exactly code compatible. I'm just glad that we finally got this back in stock.
And when we have new product photos, we put some of these amazing new quarters, the American Women's Series from the US Mint.
Yeah.
Other revision.
Okay, so that's still the.
Yeah.
This is the second revision. So the second revision is this color OLED, the 1.27-inch color OLED, which is one of our older products.
Yeah.
Now got revised. First off, it's got the nice new penguin font. It's a black PCB, and we've updated to have an iSpy connector on the back. So this is our plug-and-play way of getting connections going. Let me just get a demo.
Okay. You're getting a demo.
You get a demo.
I will show.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So it's otherwise pin compatible, code compatible. Yeah, so why don't we go to the overhead? So for example, I've got my little QSpy board and I've got a little prototype iSpy connector. And then I just use this flex cable to connect, so it's much easier to connect displays. So as we're revising and updating many of our displays, we're adding, when we can, these 18-pin FPC connectors, because it just makes for really easy connection and
That's nice.
yeah, like Phil B redid the graphics demo, so
That was good.
nice fonts, colors, graphs, etc. So otherwise, it's exactly the same. If you were using this display before, you'll notice, other than the PCB color and font, it's identical. The SD card's in the same slot and everything. But we just shoved everything over a little bit to make room for a flex connector. So this is the latest in the iSpyification.
Okay. Oh, and
Yeah. So
more. This is
more.
my Angelou.
Yes.
By the way. Okay. Next up.
Next up, this is coming soon, but I figured I'd put it in the shop because I think people are excited about it. It's a little board that you can plug into the back of your Cutie Pie that gives you a micro SD card. It's using that same micro SD card slot we talked about earlier.
Oh.
Very handy if you want to add more data storage, you want to do data logging to an SD card. I just love those.
Those
little
are cute.
Yeah, those micro SD card slots are just so darn cute. And so they fit perfectly on the back. And in this case, we put sockets in and we just plug it in, but you don't have to. You can solder it directly to the back and then use the SPI pins and one chip select pin. And then if you go here, you can see the chip select. You can, by default, use the TX pin because I don't want to use the analog pins because usually you're data logging from analog or you want to use those for something else. But you can cut that trace and select RX, A0, A1, and then that little square jump, little dot at the right hand side, that's the CS pin. So you can always jumper that to some other pin if necessary.
All right, next up.
Okay, we put in a bunch of RP2040 chips, and if you're going to use those RP2040 chips in a design, you probably want some flash memory. And so this is our favorite flash memory, and I like that they put it on top of her hand there in this quarter. This is the WinBond W25Q64JV XGIQ, which is a QSPI enabled. It also can do regular SPI or dual SPI if necessary. 64 megabit, 8 megabyte chip. It comes in a, I think this is called a WSON or an Exon. I think it's Exon size. It's basically hand solderable. It's a little bit smaller than SOIC, but it's got the same kind of size and shape. And it's it's a very inexpensive 8 megabyte, 64 megabit flash. We love 8 megabyte. I think it's like enough space that you can have a little storage for files, fonts, images, audio clips.
You lot.
And still have what'd you say?
You can do a lot.
You can do a lot. I thought you said ULAW. And I'm like, yeah, you can have ULAW files.
Yeah.
And also
yeah, that too.
I remember downloading ULAW files. And then it goes great with the Raspberry Pi RP2040. So we have it in sets of 10 and sets of 100 to match the 10 and 100 RP2040 chips.
Next up.
Okay, next up, we're going to get some more products from other vendors. I've been out for a couple months, but we're back, and so I'm getting back to stocking some cool stuff. So we're doing some experimentations with HDMI, DVI output on the RP2040, and I thought, well, let's carry this cool dev board from Pimoroni. This is the Pico DV, not to be confused with HDMI because HDMI requires a licensing agreement. This is DVI, which is a free and well-documented protocol that you can plug into displays that have HDMI written on them. Works great for that. The Pico RP2040, if you overclock it and you run some kind of like tweaky code that uses a lot of PIOs, can output DVI signals. And we've done it, and we have some demo code we're going to release as well that uses it, and we're prototyping on this board. This also has a micro SD slot. It has 3 buttons. It's got some GPIO. I think the SD card looks like you can do SDIO as well as SPI. It's got, like enable jumper maybe. It's got a couple of things going on there. If you want to do some AV hacking with the RP2040, you just plug your Pico in. No soldering required to use this if you use a Pico with headers pre-attached.
Next up.
Next up, we've also got the same version of that, basically the same as that board, but this one's got a VGA connector. And look at how skinny that VGA connector is. That's like the skinniest VGA connector on the planet. That really, that's kind of scary. Same thing, you want to hack your displays, but it's an older display maybe. It doesn't have DVI or HDMI written on it. has VGA written on it. Congratulations, you can use this instead.
Video graphics array.
Yeah, I mean, it's still doing the same thing where you don't get as many colors, I don't think, because um I think it does like a averaging between 2 or 3 pixels. So you get like maybe 8-bit color. Still
I like black and white.
beautiful. Equals to black and white.
All
Good for hacking on AV projects.
Next up.
Next up, we sell in the shop various LoRa boards, breakouts, feathers, etc. But maybe you want to go to space and send LoRa signals to and from your space balloon. Then, in honor of the Challenger, you can pick up one of our LoRa radio boards, so radio modules. This is just the module. It has inside of it the SX1276. It's tuned for about 900 megahertz. You know, basically in software you can set it to 915 or 868. You're gonna get totally fine signal either way. And that's the ISM band. You would we have in CircuitPython and I think MicroPython also and Arduino all have libraries for the SX1276 chipset inside. You connect an antenna to the antenna pin, connect power and all the signals to the other pins, and you basically have a LoRa transceiver. Now, it's a little tougher to use than our module that has level shifting, power supply, antenna connector. But if you're designing your own board, these are hand solderable. So we put them in the shop so people can design their own boards.
Next up.
Next up, it's coming soon, but it's coming soon part 2 because the last time it was coming soon, there was a chip shortage. We couldn't get to the chips necessary to build this board, but now we can. And so we're starting to revive this. We just want to kind of bubble this up in people's consciousness. The Metro M7 featuring the IMX RT1011. It's a 500
It's a
megahertz
beast.
Cortex M7. Yeah, it's a bit of a beast. Although ironically, it doesn't have a ton of pins. Like you'd think, oh, there should be so many GPIO. It's actually exactly this many, just enough to do a Metro because a lot of those pins are for power or for SWD debugging. But we also hooked up an ESP32 on the left there as a Wi-Fi coprocessor. It's got STEMMA QT, SWD debugging, and 9 to 12 volt DC input. Reset button. There is a built-in ROM bootloader that you can get into by switching those jumpers on the switches on the boot select. Basically, we got these. We updated the flash to be that 8 megabytes of QSPI because again, we like 8 megabytes. We're basically going to be, getting this to our developers. We're going to kind of resuscitate the efforts that we put in 2 years ago. We did have CircuitPython running on this board quite well, and we just again couldn't get the chip anymore, and so we shelved it. But I think we're going to start getting into Cortex M7 now that they're available. They're a very exciting chipset. After this, we can follow up with other IMX chips as well, but we're starting with the low-cost IMX RT1011.
Next up.
It's now in stock, is the OV5640 camera module with 120-degree wide-angle lens. We chatted about this earlier. It's, a nice upgrade to the standard OV5640 camera or 2640 camera. This is a very nice quality camera with a wide angle lens. There's a couple updates that I did to the design to make it, in my opinion, a lot better than the standard camera breakouts. It has that 2x9 header that every camera has. It's got a jumper for the V motor pin if you have an autofocus camera module. This one doesn't autofocus, but you could swap in, or we might release later a version of autofocus. We have pull-ups on the I2C lines. We've got a small light green LED to tell you that it's powered on. You've got optional internal clock generation for 24 megahertz clock if you don't want to spare a GPIO pin to do it. It's got pull up and pull down on enable and power down as necessary, so it kind of boots up immediately. It's got a little heat sinking area up top. Some of the camera modules we've noticed can get a little toasty. So giving it that exposed gold area, you can attach a tiny heat sink if you need even more heat sinking on that module. And I thought I'd show a little demo of this board. So the only thing I want to note is that this board is, if you go to the overhead. This board, it does have, this 2x9 connector, and we added, in this case, I soldered both pins on, but we added another row. So you could plug this, if you didn't solder in the second row like I did, like if you had it like this, you could plug it into a breadboard. And because it's very hard to plug in dual row because you have to have like some sort of like divider thingy that brings the pins apart. But it's meant to go on boards like this Kaluga, which is an ESP32 dev kit. Here, let me bring this out a little bit. This dev kit, which has a camera connector, and a lot of dev boards, if they have one of these 2x9 connectors, it's meant for a camera. So you can plug it in, and then let me see, power. Let me see if this boots up and get my live demo going. You can do it, live demo. Okay. So this is the CircuitPython code, which grabs a camera frame, and you can see I'm waving in front of the camera. Hello, hi, this is us. This is where we live. It's the bassinet. So this camera module, it's a nice wide angle. You can see it kind of distorts on the side just because it's doing that wide angle distortion to get the full frame, and it's a little rounded at the tops with the corners of the room. But this is the CircuitPython code just displaying it on 320 by 240, and then of course you can download it. AutoJet creates JPEGs if desired. We have code to do that to capture a JPEG
You can
image.
make your own digital camera.
You could make your own digital camera. So we're going to start with the OV5640, but we'll also have versions with different lenses, autofocus 2640. But this is the camera lens I kind of like the most. It's a great starter lens. And I wanted to get this breakout, which again is the standard breakout for cameras, well established.
Oh, see.
Yeah,
Hi, we can green screen
Wait,
behind us.
I think yeah.
Okay. Start of the show besides you, LadyAda, our entire team, and I have a blank screen here. Look.
Hi.
It's the void. It's the floppy featherwing. It's here.
It's here finally. Yes. Again, we're getting to
What?
you that's the
Man, I keep
you know because you clicked above the row.
Okay,
Sorry.
so anyways,
Okay.
to start the show besides you, LadyAda, our community, our customers, and everyone else. Yay. Yeah, this is
Well, this show is huge.
There's a lot going on here.
You can't
So anyways,
read this show because it's so
yeah. You can tell it's live. Okay.
Okay, floppy featherweight. So we're going to do more floppy stuff. We want to start with the floppy featherweight just to get some, basically the wiring of floppy drives is the toughest. So floppy drives, PC floppy drives are not Apple floppy drives we support. These are also not, Commodore 64. This is for standard PC, classic PC 3.5, 5.25 inch floppy drives. They use this 34-pin IDC cable, 2x17 pins. One row is ground, but the other row is like all the GPIO that are used to communicate with the floppy drive. And floppy drives are very, very low level. So you do need to have, first off, they have to be 5 volts signal because the floppy disk is really expecting 5-volt signal. So on the floppy featherwing is level shifters to and from the data. So all of it is converted to and from 5 volts to 3.3 volts. And then, let's show the back because it has the pins. So there's a lot of GPIO used for floppy. So you see from the bottom, index, step, direction, enable, de-enable. I don't remember what de-enable is. Select, your motor select. And then above, write data, write gate, protect, track 0, read, side, and channel. And I think I'm hoping I'm getting all those right. There's a lot of signals on the floppy drives. So they all go to individual pins on the floppy featherwing, and then are level shifted into the feather. So the thing about the feather is data that comes from the floppy streams out very, very quickly, and you can't really just use any chip you want. You really want something with a lot of RAM and very fast GPIO, especially something that has like a DMA GPIO that you can stream the data transitions that just like pour out of the floppy drive into RAM. And so for that, the best use case, in our opinion, is to use an RP2040. You could also use a Feather M4, although right now it's hard to get the SAMD51 chips. So honestly, we're kind of saying just go with the RP2040. You'll need to pair that with this and then run the software that we have written. So maybe if you go back to us, because I have to explain a couple more things. Okay. So there's 3 use cases for the floppy featherwing. One, you want to archive floppy disks and save them for like later perusal, maybe because you have disks from your childhood, or you're archiving historical documents or whatever. You have the prints floppy, you want to get the data off. So you would use the floppy feather wing with the RP2040, and you use our firmware and this desktop software called Grease Weasel or Flux Engine to read those raw fluxes off, and then you could do data correction if necessary, like bit error correction, and then convert that that image into whatever format it is, or the IBM PC or even Mac. You can do some Mac formats as well. The second option is we also have code for Arduino and CircuitPython where you can treat it as a file system. You can like read the files off. You can even do some writing, although the writing is kind of iffy. That's tougher to do. But the reading, you can read data off of the floppy and kind of treat it just like a normal file system, as if it was an SD card. So that's good for like retro projects where you want to like use the floppy as an interface to actually store data on because it's like cool and retro. And then the third option is you want to make like weird music. You want to control the floppy disk and you want to like make the motor go back and forth and like tick and click and
There's a lot
whir.
of videos like that.
There's a lot of videos which I linked to. So those are like the three main use cases for the floppy feather wing. But it's still, I gotta say, you have to get a floppy disk, and they're not new, right? They're no longer made. The floppy drives are no longer made, and you have to power the floppy drive separately. And those require like 5 volts or 5 volts and 12 volts, multiple amps. So you may need like an XC power supply. So this is not like a super beginner board. Like you have to get a couple things going. We're going to try to make it easier, but the fact that you can't buy off the shelf floppy drives anymore to make it a little bit more complicated than other products where everything is available in the store.
Okay. That's new product, lady.
New.
Okay. Little reminder, the code's floppy. Get 10% off. No, 11% off.
11.
Just when you thought it was 10, it's 11.
It's 11.
Okay, we're gonna do some top secret. I have to coordinate picking up your food, so we'll see how this goes. That I try to do both at the same time.
There's just
You can post your questions up. We're gonna do top secret,
okay.
and then I might have to just like run downstairs real fast because that's how life is for us right now.
Okay.
Okay, this week's top secret is what, LadyAda?
Okay, we've got. Hold on. Here they are. So some other boards that we are finally getting to are all these CAN bus feathers and accessories. So we designed. Oh, you want to go to the overhead?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, great. Sorry. We designed these CAN bus feather wings, and we also have an itsy bitsy wing, and this uses like the standard MCP 2515, and then like you couldn't get them, and they were like $50 a piece, and I'm not paying $50 a piece for a 50-cent chip. So thankfully, the MCP 2515 is now available again. Yay! And so we're going to be reviving this as well. So many of our products and projects that got delayed for 2 years, we just had to make it to here.
Okay,
That's it.
that's top secret. All right, so I'm gonna set you up with the questions. I guess I have to go get your food.
How about I just do questions?
No, it's fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna set you up here with all this. We got this taken care of.
I can run the show without you. You're gonna come back, the computer's on fire.
I am not that needed.
No.
No. Okay, so let's do
Your
it.
best.
No, I would like to be in the background and help elevate folks. Okay, so here's the questions. Ready?
Yeah.
So someone had asked, would we do like a Adafruit toilet? I'm just gonna paraphrase this. Yeah. Imagine us bringing our open source values, privacy, and respecting dignity for children. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'd absolutely love doing that. Maybe this is how we're gonna dip our toes in it with these toy hacking things. We'll see. Question. I noticed some display breakouts have the ribbon go around the edge to the back. Some have the ribbon stay on the same side under the display, usually soldered. Some fold behind and go through a hole in the middle of the board. How do you choose design what to go with?
Oftentimes the data sheet or the design of the display will kind of dictate it. Like there's just no way to fold under, or some, I prefer to fold under if possible. Sometimes you have to fold over. Sometimes it has to go through a slot.
Can you do?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I can do.
Okay. All right, now I'm Phil. Okay, so sometimes you're kind of forced to buy the display itself, and so you'll learn by like just using it. You're like, oh, I can't fold it over. It pinches too much. Okay, next question. Is there a plan or plans for Feather or Metro or Pike Cowboy with iSpec connector? Yes, there are. But I wanted to go through and do as many of the displays first because like those were a lot easier. And then what I can do is once I've got all the displays with I Spy, when I make that feather or cowbell, I can like plug them in and make sure they all work. And that way I can, that's easier to do than the other way around, I think, because all the displays, like the pins are fixed, whereas on the cowbell or the feather, they might be variable. Can I use 2 I Spy breakout board and a cable to go from A to B between boards? Yeah, I mean, basically the hi now you're me, I'm you. Yes, you
I'm
can.
doing engineering. Get me over here.
Start lactating. You can. It is just an 18 pin GPIO breakout. Okay, on that IMX RT1011, can you do in the future USB hosts like on TNC? The RT1011 doesn't actually have USB host, I believe. I think that's only the 10.5 and 10.6 series. So the 1011 actually, I don't think has USB host ability. It does have, maybe it has high speed USB. And remember, if the 1011 doesn't have a lot, it's like the the easiest. I think it just does full speed USB. And then when we get to the 1050, 1052 series, that's when it can do USB host because it has two USB
Okay,
ports.
which question are you up to?
I just did that one.
Okay, all right, keep going.
Okay, can a feather pretend to be a floppy for a computer? To reverse usage generated floppy. You could, but we don't have code for it. But other people have written code to do that. I remember looking into it and being like, "Wow, I'm not getting into it." There's other floppy emulators like Floppy Emu and stuff. I decided to buy some RP Scorpio boards after watching JP's part of the week. Yay! My use with the 8 pins will be just input. Are the 8 pins different for wiring a push button? Different? Can you just direct one of those pins, touch to ground as a library port? Well, you'd have to add pull-ups, right? Because they're going through a shifter. You can do it, just you'd have to have 8 pull-ups pins and change the jumpers on the back to be 3 volts and to be inputs, but it should work as long as you have pull-up resistors on them. Does a Pico DV board work with an HDMI switch through computers to one monitor? I have no idea. It's a good question for Pimaroni because I don't know. I don't know how the native Pico code handles the switching stuff, which is like EDID reading.
Okay, and then let me look around here. Don't see anything. Any plans to stemma QTing at the Itsy Bitsy? All right.
Not a lot of space on there. You might want to use one of our breakout boards. It's like, where would we fit it? Rough.
Let's check the other chat. We'll be making devices. Will we be making devices to help hacker parents in addition to kids' toys? Yeah, so there's a lot of things that, as we've been exposed to what the current state of the art is for parents. I'll give you a really good example. LadyAda has these little pumps, and you could put the magnetic USB tips on there, so it's very easy to charge them when you're tired and it's dark. That's a huge upgrade just right there. And so we're taking a lens at what's going on and saying like, well, how could this be easier? I kind of think sometimes when you come in to an industry or you have a skill set that's completely different than what you're going into, you bring, because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, there's USB. Like I can make that easy so I never have to plug it in and unplug it because it always takes 10 times. So there's a lot of things that I'm just like, oh, in fact, like we modded our stroller so we have more headroom. There's just a lot of things that we're like, oh, this is...
Yeah, you're hacking every day.
Yeah, it is. And I actually think that's what parents do anyways, but it's not really celebrated. And I also think that there's this idea that every child's different. So, adapt. But then they say like everything has to be this way. And if you don't do it, you're a bad parent. But I think you just have to iterate and learn. And like these toys and stuff like that, a lot of them that have any sounds, like it seems weird to us that you wouldn't be able to change the sounds. Just like if you think about it, a kid today, they'll never know a television that's not a touch screen, or they'll never know about having to watch something live on TV because everything's on demand. So things do change over time, and I think we're in the middle of that. So I think yes, we'll keep posting up stuff. I also did some high contrast art for kids. You can check that out on our blog. You can download it. We made PDFs of all the Adafruit characters because infants like high contrast stuff. So there's just a lot of stuff. And the high contrast stuff was like, it's cool that it's like farm animals and stuff. But like, I kind of wanted things that were like, like electronics and like kind of modern-y things.
Yeah, how many pigs are they gonna make?
Yeah. Okay. Next up, why is it so decent? Hard to find a decent project box? One with integrated battery compartment, 1, 2, 3, 4 AA contacts for the length of wire, for example.
There's some with the integrated battery. Usually because the project box. Well, let me think. There was a company that had integrated battery boxes, but I can't. It wasn't Hammond. I can't remember who they are. There is a company that did one, but they weren't great because it's honestly most people don't use project boxes if they're making a product.
Yeah. And then next up, would you ever consider stocking or making a APRS module in the 144.39 megahertz?
I don't really stock that stuff, but I think there's a lot of RF places that can hook it up for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Them's the questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. That's our show for tonight. Special thanks to the team running things behind the scenes tonight. I think it's Dakar. I've been like multitasking everything. It's not
Yeah.
Dakar. Special thanks to all the customers, everyone in the community, everyone on the team has been helping out, and just like a general thank you. We're starting to crawl out of the hole, which is pandemic supply chain shortage stuff. So thank you for supporting us all along. We hope you enjoy the 11% discount. We probably won't be doing 11% discount for a while, so buy as much stuff as you can tonight. Don't forget you a bunch of free stuff. And this has been it for production. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.
Here is your moment of Zener.